Hello, I'm Christian Fraser. You're watching The Context on BBC News. Donald Trump refuses to answer questions in a New York deposition, invoking his right against self-incrimination. It comes days after the FBI executed a search warrant at his Florida estate, Mar-a-Lago, as part of a separate investigation into the handling of classified documents. The war in Ukraine started in Crimea. After explosions on the island yesterday, Zelensky says the war can only end with its liberation. 10 years ago, the bell rang, signalling Manchester United's arrival on the New York Stock Exchange. Later in the programme, we'll tell you how much an investment of £1,000 would be worth today. Tonight, with The Context, the political analyst Dahlia Scheinlin and the former federal prosecutor Joe Moreno. Hello, warm welcome to the programme. Under the United States Constitution, everyone has the right to the Fifth Amendment. But for many years, Donald Trump held a particular view of those who invoked it.
So there are 5 people taking the Fifth Amendment, like you see on the mob, right? You see the mob takes the Fifth. If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment? Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Fifth Amendment. Horrible. Horrible.
But today, in New York, he refused to answer any questions under oath, pleading the Fifth Amendment. The former president had been deposed in a civil case brought by New York Attorney General Letitia James, who is investigating whether the Trump Organization inflated, then deflated the value of its prized assets, its golf courses, its skyscrapers, to deceive the lenders and the tax authorities. In a statement soon after, Mr. Trump said, "I once asked, if you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth? Now I know the answer. When your family, your company and all the people in your orbit have become the targets of an unfounded, politically motivated witch hunt supported by lawyers, prosecutors and the fake news media, you have no choice." Joe Moreno, Ivanka and Donald Trump Jr., who are both executives in the family business and worked in the White House, they did answer questions when they were deposed recently. If the former president has nothing to hide, why is he pleading the Fifth?
Christian, isn't it funny how sloppy and careless language kind of catches up with people, right? I'm
There's
wondering
always
if
a
Donald
quote.
Trump,
There's
I'm
always
wondering
a
if he
quote.
regrets those statements, right? I mean, look, the Fifth Amendment provides the right against criminal self-incrimination. So if you are a criminal defendant and you choose not to answer certain questions or not to testify at all, that can't be used against you. So a prosecutor can't say, why didn't that defendant testify? He would have if he was innocent. You can't do that, right? You cannot make any kind of inference or statement. That is not true in a civil case. And this is a civil investigation being conducted by the New York Attorney General. So President Trump's refusal to answer questions absolutely can be used against him. And so the state attorneys in that case can make a big deal about the fact that if he were innocent, he would have testified, like apparently his children did. So this is actually a pretty significant development because it doesn't have the same kind of shield effect it has in a criminal case. In a civil case, this could come back to haunt Donald Trump.
Well, Joe, can we talk about the speculation, huge speculation in Trump world, that there is a close aide or aides that have flipped and are providing information to the Attorney General? There would have to be 100% certainty in the Attorney General's mind, you would think, to go down to Mar-a-Lago and execute a search warrant as they did. Does it follow to you that there must be someone on the inside?
It's possible, Christian. I've heard that suggestion as well. First, I mean, to Dahlia's point, she's absolutely right that Donald Trump plays this victim card. He sort of envelops himself in it, and it does play to his base. So if anything, the more activity, the more legal action against him, it almost invigorates him and it almost makes him a hero in some people's eyes. But as far as the case and the Attorney General, I mean, I have to hope that the Justice Department and the FBI would not have taken such an explosive, provocative step if they did not have a serious case. Now, that is speculation. I'm putting a lot of faith in institutions that I historically have served in myself and I believe in truly, and the consequences will be great if it turns out they did not have the goods, right? They did not have a case. So whether or not the Justice Department is getting information from an insider or someplace else, it's really important that they have a solid case, because now we have a pretty good sense of what's happening here, and there'll be a lot of scrutiny going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Joe Moreno, just let me bring you in on this. I mean, clearly, some of that would come about if we were to continue to ratchet up the pressure. President Zelensky this week in the Washington Post said that Russians should be banned from crossing the border. They should live in their own world, he said, until they change their philosophy. Do you have any sympathy with that?
Yeah, I don't know about that, Christian. I'm a little skeptical. We've already got sanctions being imposed that will economically affect the Russian populace indirectly. But do we really want to completely isolate them? Do we really want to treat them as pariahs, even those who are potentially leaving Russia in protest of President Putin? My fear is that if we treated them like that, they wouldn't so much turn on Putin. They would just become that much more isolated and that much more aggrieved against the rest of the world. So that just instinctively, I don't think that's a wonderful solution to what we're dealing with here.
Just
legally.
Let's just bring Joe in on that. I mean, Joe, that receipt that the feds would have left with his lawyers who were on site, what sort of detail would be in that warrant?
Well, the warrant would be pretty high level. It will describe in general the kinds of things that are being sought. So it would say documents, or it would say laptops or phones or that sort of thing. And then to his point, there would be a return to itemize basically an inventory of all the things that were taken. But again, it would be very general. It wouldn't be a document by document description. It would say, 15 boxes of documents and 2 laptops and whatever else they took. So it won't give a lot of detail about the nature of the case or the nature of what was taken necessarily. But I think there's 2 reasons why the President Trump will not release that information, and it doesn't really benefit him. One is that it could add credence to the charges against him and make it look more serious. But 2, it takes the wind out of the sails of the conspiracy suggestion, right? The idea that this is just some trumped up, if you would, case. And it actually makes it a little more granular, a little more detailed. And it makes it harder for him to then go out there and say, well, I'm being persecuted. It puts some nuts and bolts into what's actually happening here. So I don't think we're going to see a copy or any more information about that warrant anytime soon, at least from former President Trump.
Dolly, it's slightly different in the United States at the moment, Joe. I mean, actually, the president has helped to alleviate some of the pain, because gas prices are down for the 56th straight day here. I mean, we're talking about the forecourt here and not what's in the home heating oil. But, I mean, forecourt prices nearly below $4 now. We've not seen those prices since March. That does it not, alleviate some of the pressure on American consumers?
It helps, Christian. I mean, I think if I had to name quickly one of the biggest political gripe that Americans have, it's high gas prices. I mean, it's the easiest way to anger the American electorate. We have been spoiled for decades with cheap gasoline, and so we're not used to this kind of thing. So yes, there is some relief in the last few months. People speculate that it's because consumption is down, and so if consumption was up, prices would rise again. But yes, it is definitely a key talking point. And tying it back to American politics, you will see President Biden, as we near the midterms, say, look what I have done. I have provided some relief and gas prices are down. And you will see Republicans and ultimately President Trump, if he decides to run again, saying, hey, remember the good old days when gas was only $2 and now it's $4. And so, that's a reason to vote Republican.
Let's move on. Joe Moreno, before I invite you to comment on this story that you've brought to us today, is your surname of Italian or Spanish descent?
It's actually Italian. I think I know where you're going with this.
Go on then. Tell me your story of the day.
I mean, okay, so Domino's Pizza in Italy. The only surprise here that they're closing their doors is that they lasted as long as they did. What self-respecting Italian would get pizza from Domino's?
This is the most extraordinary case of American exceptionalism I think I've ever heard, that Domino's Pizza would go to Italy and try and teach the Italians how to make pizza. Let me play you a comment from an Italian chef, an Italian pizza chef, Massimo Vottura.
And for us, the pizza that
Domino's Pizza deliver are like flying saucer, like kind of, it's not for pleasure, it's to eat. I tried once in an airport if I remember well, was San Francisco, something like that. But, it was kind of shocking for me.
You know what? You can put pineapple on pizzas. You just have to cook them at a low heart temperature.
Christian, I tell my children of half Italian, half Irish descent that if you want good pizza, you go to Naples, Italy, or you go to Brooklyn, New York. You do not go to Domino's.
Brooklyn, thank you.
Italy,
I grew up in Brooklyn. I would never touch Domino's.
Thank goodness.
The trouble is that there are too many Americans with Italian heritage, Joe, who think they can make pizza, but they can't. Is this true in the Moreno household?
I think we do a pretty mean homemade pizza here. So I would compare that to Domino's, Papa John's, Paisanos, or any of the chains any day of the week.
Okay. Have you got any Domino's puns?
I like that sort of cardboard comparison we just heard there. It's sort of like flying saucers.
It will surprise you not that I've got some puns, Joe. So what about this? Domino's runs out of dough. Yeah. Domino's bites the crust. Yeah. Here today, gone tomorrow. The staff in here love that. They like that. I'm here all night. No, but seriously, 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 Domino's pizzas. Do you eat them in America?
Only in an absolute emergency.
Only in an absolute emergency. Yeah, I have to say, you're absolutely right. I mean, as a former Rome correspondent, if you're going to eat pizza, you've got to eat Italian. And actually, you're right, to go to Naples, to the original pizza, right, with mozzarella on it, the tomatoes that they grow, and everything. The problem is, to get on my high horse here, the Italians cook with everything that's in season. And you can't replicate that in a chain. You can't replicate that, and that's why they always fail, you see. Don't you think? You're staring at me as if I'm mad, but I'm right. Am I right? I'm right. The pizza in Italy, that's why it's so good. That's why it is so special. Anyway, Domino's is no more in Italy, so you don't anymore have to run the gauntlet. Dahlia Scheinling, Joe Moreno of Italian descent, thank you very much indeed for coming on the programme. I've learned a few things tonight. We'll look forward to a Joe pizza the next time we're over there. We will be back same time tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.